All right. Hello. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's session again with Loan Officer Brian Sachs. This week, what we'll be doing is taking viewer questions. So I have two questions, and what we're going to do is we're going to bounce them off one another and give you our best advice based upon our experience and what we know about real estate and investing. But before that, I want to give it a little context. Just recently, Brian, I was watching CNBC, and what I try to do when I watch CNBC is I try to stay in tune with what are some of the indicators and indices that you need to pay attention to when you're dealing with real estate. So one of the things that I saw was unemployment is down to 3.5, 3.4, down from 3.5 the month before. The consumer price index was flat. And what that means here is that inflation, the price that we would normally pay for goods has not gone up. It has remained flat. So what they're basically saying here is that we're beginning to get inflation in line. And when inflation is in line, normally our interest rates will stabilize or go lower. Is that about right? Or is that not how it
Yeah,
works?
that
Okay.
that is accurate. Yep.
Okay. So, you know, but with all of that being said, they were still saying that interest rates still may be going up yet again. So I know interest rates play a major part in what you do. So let's give us a little bit of insight and maybe your opinion.
Well, I do think interest rates are going to go up.
Mhm.
That is my opinion. And then I think they're going to come back down.
Okay.
And the amount they go up by or down by is really going to be dependent on the policies of the Fed.
Okay.
I do believe the Fed is trying to put a cooling off on the economy, and they haven't been successful yet.
Okay.
So there's probably still a little bit of cooling. Now, having said that, I believe we're going to be in the sevens, and I believe at the end of the year we might be in the fives or fours.
Okay.
That's my opinion. It's a personal opinion.
Yeah.
You have to be very careful because there are lots of other things going on, including what's happening in Russia and Ukraine. Yesterday, they, downed one of our drones, and then there was a bunch of back and forth. Plus, you have some bank failures, which is always a very interesting side note.
Mhm.
So how this is going to play out, still up in the air. But I heard something really interesting. I've been seeing it on Facebook. Lots of people saying, marry the house, date the mortgage.
Exactly.
And so now, I've been saying this, and no one, I hope someone's listening. Now's a great time to buy a house. If I were in the market to buy, I would buy right now. So, one of the ways to be successful in life and in the mortgage business and in real estate and even in the stock market is that when everyone is going left, you go right.
Mhm.
Okay. If everybody's going right, you go left.
Left.
If everybody's on the fence, now's the time to jump in. Why? Because of the higher rate, the home prices have sagged a little bit. You don't marry your interest rate forever. So you get in while there's less competition, while sellers are very negotiable, and then you refinance 6 months, 12 months down the road, when there will be a lot of competition. Once rates go down, you're going to see lots of competition for homes. And you'll have the same craziness we had last year and the year before, where people were overbidding and waiving appraisals, waiving home inspections, doing appraisal gaps. Appraisal gap, for those of you who don't know, let's say you're buying a house for 100, okay, and the house is really worth 90. Well, the seller is saying to you, you're going to buy it for 100, doesn't matter what it appraises for, and you're going to come up with the difference in cash. Well, all that silliness is gone right now, folks. So while everybody's waiting, now's the time to be buying and accumulating, because rates, in my opinion, will have to come back down.
Okay. So,
That's a long-winded answer, wasn't it?
well, I know, but like I said, I'm all for giving, enough information so people can make a qualified decision. Because I think what you just said gives the perfect context. And I don't know if we'll have time to go through in this episode both of the scenarios, but what you just said is very poignant for this first example. I have a client, and she has been following along on the social media on multiple platforms. And what she said was, well, she got pre-approved by somebody other than Brian Sachs. That was strike one for me. But I
Shame
said, you
on
know
her.
what? I said, you know what? I'll still take it to Brian. Here it is.
Absolutely.
This is just purely contextual information. She is a single mother with 2 children, so she's going to need at least a 3-bedroom house. She has a 690 credit score. She got pre-approved. Now, for a 15-year mortgage, she got pre-approved for $150,000. For a 30-year mortgage, she got a pre-approved for $200,000. Now, what I tried to tell her that at 150 price point in the area in which she wants to look, it's very difficult to find everything that's going to meet your needs. She wants a yard, she wants a parking pad, she wants certain things that at 150 it may be difficult to find. So what I've been trying to tell her, and this is what leads directly into our conversation, is why should she go ahead, get the 30-year mortgage, take the additional $50,000 in purchasing power, buy what she wants, because she's 30 years old. She's not going to be in the house for the length of the mortgage. And what she said to me was, she actually quoted me dollar for dollar how much interest she's going to pay over the life of the loan. And that's why she's going with a 15-year mortgage as opposed to a 30. So here's the question. Do you think, in your opinion, it would behoove her to take the 15-year mortgage so she would alleviate paying a ton of interest and pay the house off sooner? Or should she just go ahead, take the 200,000, get what she want, and then come back and refi like you said?
So the answer is a very hard one
Okay.
because you're asking me to operate without having a diagnosis.
Okay.
Let me explain what I mean by that. Number one, at 30, I don't know if she has any other debt. If she has any other debt, like a car loan or credit card debt, that's at a high interest rate, she's better off paying off that debt first, right? Okay. So we're talking $200-300 a month difference in a payment, I'm guessing, right?
Yes.
And so number one, if you have other debt and you have that extra $200-300 a month disposable, work on paying off your debt first. Take a 30-year mortgage, take that extra money and pay off your debt because it's at a higher interest rate. Even if we're at 6 or 7 and a credit card's at 12 or 24, it's a no-brainer, right? It's also going to improve her cash flow. Number two, has she maxed out at 30 years old her 401k? If she hasn't, then she needs to take that 200-300 and do that first. All right. But assuming she has no debt, assuming she's maxed out her 401k, my advice to my clients is always to take a 30-year mortgage, and you can have your cake and eat it too. So first of all, to say life of the loan, the likelihood of her being there at age 60 is probably
minimal at best. Let me say
slim to none, and slim left town, right? So here's how she can accomplish both. You work the system. You take a 30-year mortgage, you get the higher interest deduction because she's right. You do pay a heck of a lot more interest on a 30-year loan than you do on a 15, right? But she can also prepay that loan. So she can make one extra payment a year on that loan. It might knock 4 or 5 years off the life of that loan.
I forgot about
okay.
that.
But here's what you said that's important. She has 2 kids and she's a single mom, right?
Yeah.
Well, I had 2 kids. I still have them, thank God, right? and and they're grown, but that doesn't mean anything. You want to keep your cash flow as liquid as possible. If you have two children, a 30-year mortgage is going to give you a lower monthly payment than a 15-year, right?
All right.
And yes, you are paying more interest over the life of the loan. But the beauty is you can control it. So God forbid you have an unexpected expense with one of the children, or God forbid 1 month your furnace goes up or your roof leaks or whatever. If you're doing a 15-year mortgage and you don't make your payment, you'll go into default. If you have a 30-year loan, you don't make that small extra payment, no one cares. Right? So you want to keep your cash flow as liquid as possible. And when you have that extra disposable income and you've maxed out your 401k and you've paid off all your consumer debt, by all means, put it towards your mortgage.
Okay. I think that really clarifies it, because I'm going to be honest. When I advised her, I spoke with her last week, and what I told her was, you're not going to be in this house. And she's looking at a typical townhome / row home in the greater extended area of Baltimore, Maryland. And I'm going to be the first one to tell you, I raised some of my kids. My first house that I bought at 26, I did right around 35. I began looking for another house. So I was there, less than 10 years. My son by that time was 6'1". My daughter and my son couldn't be in close proximity to one another because they were teenagers. It was time for me to find more space. So, that was my advice to her. But looking at the overall picture, I think what you're really doing by painting the picture of maxing out your 401k that gives you a good, strong financial base down the road, getting a 30-year mortgage so that you can stay liquid and you can pay off other additional debts, or that disposable income might be able for you to take those kids on a vacation. You don't want to be so cash strapped that you're what we call house poor.
And right. And there's nothing wrong with putting it towards your principal, but I'm saying don't be forced to.
Exactly. So like you said, God forbid transmission go up and your new set of tires, you're not scrounging and robbing Peter to pay Paul in that situation. Okay.
Right. The worst thing you could possibly do is take a 30-year mortgage, a 15-year mortgage. You have an unexpected expense and you put it on a credit card at 24%. Exactly. That's just bad.
Yeah, that's operating backwards. Okay. Yeah. Well, we're a little bit short on time this week. I want to thank Brian for squeezing me into his schedule. But before we go, I saw on Facebook, Mazel Tov is in order. Is somebody's getting married? Is that what it is?
It's very funny. Yes, thank you so much, Frank. We had a very busy weekend. My daughter's 30th, and my son got engaged. So very busy weekend. But thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah, I monitor that. You're definitely Mazel Tov. And like you said, you're going to need to be liquid, because although she's 30, I'm pretty sure she still calls dad occasionally, because they all do. And absolutely. Even though you're not the father of the bride in this instance, he might call on dad to help out with the wedding.
It's already started, so we're good. Yep, I'm on it.
All right. Well, God bless and congratulations yet again. I want to thank you for checking in. And as always, this is Brian Sachs. He is the author of help me out. What is the title of the book?
TheRealEstateLoophole.com.
TheRealEstateLoophole.com. And he's also with Homebridge Financial. So I want to thank him so much. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and I will see you soon. Thanks a lot, Brian. Have a good one.
Thanks for having me, Frank.